Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you about what my 10-year shopping habit stole from me other than my money. Today I have 5 different points that I want to touch on today. Before we get started, I just feel the need to say that this video, I get as traumatic as that title is, this is not a pity party, this is not like a world's smallest violin. I obviously made the decisions that I made in my 20s and I don't regret them. I had a lot of fun at the time. That's what I thought I needed and that's what I wanted at the time. I wanted to live that life and do those things. If I could have come to this realization earlier, would I have? Yes, if I could have broken away from that habit and that kind of bubble and that world, would I have done that earlier? Yes, I wish I would have. I personally believe that everything happens when it's supposed to happen and timing is very key. So I'm just excited to be in this new headspace now and in this new place. If you enjoyed these introspective videos, if you enjoyed the discussions that we've been having here lately, I'd really love it if you would consider subscribing. So these 5 things that I have to share with you are currently things that I'm working on because I feel like throughout the last 10 years that I did spend so much of my time focusing on luxury fashion and shopping, I feel like these were things that I neglected. And I am genuinely so excited to be working towards these things and it just is making me feel a lot more whole. So the first thing I want to touch on is it definitely took away my ability to self-soothe, and I didn't realize this at the time. Self-soothing is something we all do. Self-soothing is basically just regulating one's emotions. It is the habits or behaviors that we partake in order to regulate our emotions, and it's something that we do throughout our lives. And a lot of these habits in ways we self-soothe come from maybe our childhood, or maybe they just come from extended periods of doing a particular thing that helps to maybe regulate our emotions or bring us more joy or happiness. No matter how long lasting it is, if it can regulate our emotions or if it can make us a bit happier in the moment, it tends to kind of stick. And I do think that I was using my shopping habits, my shopping behaviors to self-soothe, and it's something that I think maybe I'm not the only person who has partaken in. I think another really common one is scrolling. I think that's why TikTok is one of the reasons why TikTok is so popular is the ability to just scroll and enter a new world and forget about your emotions, your feelings. It's just so easy to switch off and scroll. I think eating is another big one, regulating emotions, feeling a lot more comfort from eating is another big one. For me, I think within the last, I'd say maybe good 7, 8 years, I was definitely using shopping as a way to self-soothe. And even if I wasn't buying, I was scrolling. Everybody has different ways that they self-soothe. Some can be more healthier than others. And for me, shopping was a really big way that I kind of self-soothed, regulated my emotions. It kind of numbed down any feelings of maybe loneliness, sadness, boredom as well. All of those things. I've been able to find new ways to self-soothe that actually bring me a lot more joy, that's actually more long lasting, and I just feel a lot more inner peace. Number 2, I want to touch on balance, and that was, I think, quite a big underlying theme in my last video that I shared. If you missed it, I'm going to have it linked, where I touched on things that I changed in my life within the last 30 days that have actually contributed a lot to my happiness. And going back to that point, I do think that there was quite a big imbalance within my life. I'd spend so much of my free time, so much of my spare time studying, if you will, to be an expert in luxury fashion. So if you checked out that video, you may have known that I did make a lot of changes, and a lot of those were kind of hobby orientated or goal orientated, or just things that I was learning or being able to try for the first time. Like I've got plants for the first time. I'm trying to learn how to swim. I went to some cooking classes. All of these things were things that I felt like I didn't have time or didn't prioritize focusing on when I was chasing this kind of expertise and these hobbies and this passion for fashion. Such a funny term. That I felt like I was missing out on a lot of that balance. And now stepping away from that world and stepping out of that bubble, I've been able to spend more time, bring back a lot more balance to my life. And it's definitely I feel a lot healthier, a lot more balanced. Number 3, this one trails on from my last point, but I do feel like it definitely deserves its whole own point in itself. And I want to talk to you about confidence and identity. Whilst shopping up a storm and spending a lot of my free time studying luxury fashion and keeping an eye out for the latest bag, the newest bag, the next thing, I think that I definitely lost a lot of confidence. I bought into this idea that spending money and focusing on the exterior. And don't get me wrong, it is very important. I think it's important to feel good with what you wear. There is definitely truth behind the whole, you know, if you look good, you'll feel good. There is definitely an element to that. But I think that going back to my other point about balance, I was focusing very, very heavily on the exterior. And, you know, looking stylish, feeling stylish, that's all well and good. I think there is so much more that comes along with confidence. There is so much more that contributes to confidence than just what you wear. Absolutely, you know, what you wear, how you style it, how you look can definitely play such a big role in your confidence. Don't get me wrong. But I think, again, going back to my balance point, I was so heavily focused on how I looked and what I presented to the world in my exterior that I was lacking a lot of confidence that I had brought into the idea that, you know, shopping and looking good would fix. It does sound so cliche and so corny, but, you know, you can get all the plastic surgery in the world. You can dress head to toe in designer. You can, you know, dye your hair. You can have your nails done. You can look absolutely perfection from head to toe. But that actually long term does not equate to a level of self-assurance and confidence that, like, you can't get that real deep level of confidence and self-assurance just by focus on the exterior, because that real deep level of self-assurance and knowing who you are and feeling confident in that can only come from doing some serious work on the inside. Okay, some serious work on the inside. So the next one I want to touch on is a little bit more of an obvious point, but I do have a story that I want to share with you. So I think other than money, one of the biggest things that we trade is time. And not only the time it takes to scroll and research and shop. This particular example I want to share with you ties into my next point as well, so I really hope you stick around. But this example that I have, just a few weekends ago, I was in Melbourne with my sister. We were there for a country music festival. Not really a festival, it was like a country music show. It was the best. I had the time of my life. We had such a great time. I can't remember the last time I went to Melbourne and didn't shop. And it felt really good. And actually, before I even went to Melbourne, I knew that I wasn't going to shop. Partly because I didn't have the time, but also partly because I didn't want to. I didn't want to shop. However, I did need to stop into a few stores. I had 4 items that had either broken or were quite damaged that I needed and wanted to get fixed. And that took so much time. God, when I tell you, it took so much time. If you're someone who shops in designer stores or just shopping in general, you know that this process can take quite a long time, especially in high-end stores. It's just this real kind of like slow process. It can just be quite taxing, and that time, God, it took so long. It got to the point in some of these stores, I had to say to them, look, I'm in a bit of a hurry. You know, do you think we can do this in like 10 minutes because I've got to go? A lot of them said to me, no, like I've got to write up a whole report. I've got to do this, I've got to do that. I'd drop something off, I'd go to the next shop, I'd drop it off there, and then I'd go to the other one, and then I'd check on it, and then I'd go to the other one, and then I'd sign something, and then I'd go to the other one, and then it was a lot of time. I think it's a lot of time assumed that the only time you really spend is the time buying these things, researching them, going to collect them. But really, it's the dry cleaning, it's the after sale service, it's the needing to go get things fixed. It all equates and adds up to a lot of excess time that maybe we don't factor in. And this leads on to my last point, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and if you've experienced something similar. But for me, this isn't necessarily something it stole, but I think it's something more that it warped. It warped my idea of quality and what true quality means and what true value means to me. I'm going to show you an image on screen. This is a particular belt that I bought 2 years ago that this was one of the items that I was dropping into Melbourne because I wanted them to look at it and I wanted them to hopefully help me come up with an alternative, and with a solution. This belt I've owned for 2 years, just under 2 years, I think. I've worn it twice, and I went into the Fendi store and I showed them this belt. As you can see, it's got some serious erosion, tarnishing, damage. Like it's quite damaged. And I was told that, you know, we can open up a case, we can see if Rome will replace it. But the man was very honest with me, and he said that it would probably just come down to general wear and tear, and the only option they would probably give me is to pay for a replacement buckle, if they're even able to give me that option. And I was just shocked. I was just shocked. My sister, who doesn't at all really care about luxury or designer things, she was standing next to me like, are you joking? The man said that this kind of wear and tear comes down to water damage or like extreme exposure to humidity. And I'm thinking, I haven't worn this in rain or in water. Like, it's had no water damage. I didn't go swimming with it. I didn't spill a drink on it. In terms of humidity, no. Like the 2 or 3 times that I wore it out, I think it was like autumn, winter, and the rest of the time it's just been in my drawer, which again, there's not a hell of a lot of heat or exposure to humidity in my wardrobe. It's just not a thing. So I was quite shocked, and that was just one of the examples. You know, another example, a high fashion, again, I don't want to talk too much about this because this isn't what I want to talk about with my channel as a whole, but just another quick example. Louis Vuitton fine jewelry. I bought that bowl necklace. I think it was over 4 grand, and it broke. I took it in to get fixed. Ignorantly, just assuming that they would be able to fix it. I thought it would be the free of charge, or I thought it would just maybe cost me like $100. Maybe that's just me being ignorant. So it turns out it cost, I think $395, almost $400 to get it fixed. And it was going to take 14 to 16 weeks, I think. So they've currently taken it and they're fixing it. I used to assume that by buying these things, it meant that I was investing in quality. I always justified it as, well, you know, I'm spending so much money, it's quality. Well, in actual fact, sometimes it's not. You know, I think we like to, and I definitely was living in this delusion where I wasn't being 100% honest with myself. Some things, yes, I think you buy for quality, but other things I think you just buy for the name. You seriously, like, you're just buying it for the name. The house is producing more quantities, quality suffering. And I think to use the excuse of, oh, it's quality, I spend this much money because it's quality. It's not. Some things are not quality. You know, I left these stores and I thought, it really opened my eyes, because I thought, wow, it's not quality. Running around and doing these errands, getting things fixed. And it's just the stress, it's so unnecessary. And I think sometimes the more you have, the less you can feel, if that makes sense. I think having more of a smaller collection or buying less is actually best, because then you don't end up with all these things that are either damaged or broken or eroding over time. I think investing in, and I think this is why there is such a space for minimalism and minimalistic channels. I used to think they were crazy and like mock them sometimes and laugh at them and think, oh my God, I could never. And you know, I'm never going to be out here owning 3 pairs of underwear, okay? It's just not in me. But I do think that minimalism and that idea of luxury minimalism is the way to go, personally. I don't have time anymore for $40,000, $50,000 hauls on a weekly basis. You know, weekly or even monthly handbag unboxings. I don't have time for it anymore. I think that there is so much to be said about luxury minimalism, and that's not the direction that my channel's going. But I just wanted to give that little space a shout out, because I think, to me, it is the new luxury community. I'd like to see more awareness and more thought-provoking content around the things we're buying, and just the quality of these things and what we're trading. You trade more than your money and more than your time if you fall down this rabbit hole like I have. So that got a bit deep towards the end, but I just wanted to also just take a moment about this quality issue, because that's just out of control. I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope that it's given you something to think about. If you're still buying luxury, I haven't bought anything recently, don't even see myself wanting anything anytime soon. But if you're someone who still enjoys buying quality, make sure it's quality that you're buying. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. Share with me all your thoughts on this topic in the comments down below. This was such a big part of my life, and I feel like I want to share these thoughts with you that I have, because being on the other side feels a lot different to being right there in the storm and right there in it. So I really hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'd like to know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.